laws interpreted as directed against corruption. The laws can stem from resolutions of international organizations, which are implemented by the national governments who are ratifying those resolutions to be directly be issued by the respective national legislative. Laws against corruption are motivated by similar reasons that are generally motivating the existence of criminal law, and those laws are taught to, on the other hand, bring justice by holding individuals accountable for their wrongdoing. Justice can be achieved by sanctioning those corrupted individuals, and potential criminals are deterred by having the consequence of their potential action demonstrated to them. 20 years before OECD Convention was ratified, the United Nations discussed a draft for a Convention on Corruption. The draft of an international agreement on illicit payments proposed in 1979 by the United Nations Economic and Social Council did not gain traction in the General Assembly and was not pursued further. When the UN Office on Drugs and Crime presented its draft of the United Nations Conventions Against Corruption in 2003, it proved more successful. UNCAC was ratified in 2003 and became effective in 2005. It constitutes an international treaty currently signed by 186 partners, including 182 member states of the United Nations and 4 non-state signatories. UNCAC has a broader scope that OECD Anti-Bribery Convention, and it does not exclusively focus on public officials but includes anti-corruption in the private sector and non-bribery corruption, like money laundering and abuse of power. Also specifies a variety of mechanisms to combat corruption. At the United States, already at the foundation of the United States, discussions on the possibility of preventing corruption were held, leading to increased awareness for corruption's threat. Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution can be seen as early acceptance of gifts and other favors from foreign governments and their representatives. Other early attempts to oppose corruption by law were enacted before the end of the World War II. The Bribery and Conflict of Interest Act of 1962, for example, regulates the respectively and acceptance of bribes by national officials and abuse of power of their personal interests. The Hobbs Act 1946 is another law frequently applied by U.S. American prosecutors in anti-corruption cases. Prosecutors are using the Act less frequently. Laws to prosecute corruption through criminal activities include the Mail Fraud State and the False Statements Accountability Act in 1977. The United States of America adopted the Foreign Corruption Practices, which criminalized corrupt interactions with foreign officials. Since its implementation, the law served to prosecute domestic and foreign companies who bribed officials outside of the United States, as no other country implemented a similar law up to in 1990s. U.S. American companies face disadvantages for their global operations. In addition to the legal status of corruption abroad, many countries also treated bribes as tax deductible through applying the law to companies with ties to the United States and by the Working Global Conventions Against Foreign Bribery. The government of the U.S. tried to reduce the negative impact of FCPA. Additional laws were implemented that are directly influencing anti-corruption activities. Upon ending this speech, once again, my name is Alyssa C. Villamin from St. Vincent de Paul under the supervision of Mr. Kent Mark Escriba. I hope that my speech has enlightened the hope of people and to fight what's right, including ending this corruption thing. Thank you.